Good morning, everyone. Oh, man, I'm still rough around the edges. Ooh. How is everybody doing this Sunday morning? Hope everybody's good. Can't tell if you can see me yet, but should show up momentarily. Hey, how's it going, Harold? Morning, everybody. Morning, morning, morning. I already have quite a few people on the live stream. Before we get started, just want to give a quick plug and a shout out. This video is sponsored by one of my awesome Patreons, Salvatore Zito, who is a member of the Omnibuds Cafe group and is the founder of the Omnibuds Cafe group. If you are looking to sell omnibuses, hardcovers, trade paperback, special editions, and all that good stuff for up to $50 above cover, go ahead and join that group. It's going to be in the description below. Awesome dude, awesome patron. Thanks, man, for supporting the channel, and we're gonna get this on the road. Yeah, so like every Sunday, shoot me some questions, and I will go ahead and answer them. That was my cat's tail. For those of you that noticed it, she likes to get in the way a lot, and there she is right there, being kind of annoying. You're on the way to the flea market. Oh man, that brings back a lot of memories. As a kid, my old man every Sunday morning would take us to the flea market and we would look for car stuff, and he would buy me a pack of Pokemon cards and things like that. So man, that takes me back, dude. Oh yeah, we would look through Pokemon cards, and then I would look through like back issue bins for comics, and he'd buy me like a pack of Pokemon cards just to shut me up. Good memories, good memories. Let's see. So shoot me some questions. And yeah, I will be more than happy to answer them. I will be on for about an hour today. Can't go on much longer than that simply because of the fact that Sundays is the day where I front load a lot of my recording and all that good stuff. So, and by front loading, I mean that I record a whole bunch of stuff for the week. That way I'm not going crazy during the week. Let's see. Since you're a Darwin Cook fan, I want to know your thoughts on Parker. Love Parker. Parker is fantastic. It's a really great read, and if you can get the Martini edition, I know it was sold out and it was out of print, if I'm not mistaken, a few months back. But with his recent passing, I can't imagine that they wouldn't want to publish that stuff. There was going to be a second Martini edition that was going to be published. However, with his passing, I'm not entirely sure if we're going to get a second special edition of the Parker books, which is a damn shame because the Martini edition is glorious. It's a beautiful little hardcover collection that I do recommend you guys pick up. But absolutely, love Darwin Cook, love the man's work. He is somebody that in the industry, I absolutely can't get enough of his stuff. Let's see. Thoughts on Southern Bastards. Thoughts. Southern Bastards is great, man. It's kind of in a way. It's interesting because I kind of see it as in a way a spiritual successor of the stuff that Jason Aaron was doing on Scalped. I absolutely love Southern Bastards. Jason Latour's art is not for everybody though. He draws faces and bodies sometimes a little bit weird, but it works for the style of that comic. And Latour actually even said that he really doesn't like his art in oversized format. So we are never probably going to get an oversized hardcover edition of Scalped. And I know a lot of people, not Scalped, of Southern Bastards. And I know a lot of people, including myself, were pretty pissed off when they released the Southern Bastards hardcover and they really didn't have anything in terms of special features or anything like that. It was just literally 2 arcs. It was just like 10 issues and that was it. I was like, ah, come on. I was extremely disappointed in that. I was like, guys, come on. You could have at least put together at least some more special features, you know, throw in something to sweeten the pot a little bit. Thoughts on the final Rogue One trailer? I have not seen it. I'm a person that I watch 1, maybe 2 trailers tops, and that's it. Simply because of the fact that a lot of trailers these days, they tend to give away pretty much everything. So I haven't even seen the new Rogue One trailer, hence why you haven't gotten a reaction video out of me, and hence why you don't see a video thumbnail with me going like this, like most of the other people on YouTube. I always find that dumb. Is Walking Dead all it's cracked up to be? I've never seen the show, by the way. Yes, the show or the comic? Oh, you're talking about the comic. The comic is really good. The comic is solid. I do have my problems with Kirkman. Kirkman tends to have certain tropes that I'm not 100% a fan of. He tends to write characters that their emotions swing on a huge, weird spectrum. And what I mean by that is that one moment Rick will be perfectly fine. He's talking to somebody, then somebody will say something, and then his emotions go from 0 to like 20 real freaking quick, and it doesn't really make logical sense. However, from a pacing standpoint and from a story standpoint, I do understand why he does it, because in that way he can get kind of to the more emotional beats, and he can get to more of the more important moments a lot faster than, let's say, a Brian Michael Bendis, who has thought bubble, thought bubble, thought bubble, thought bubble, thought bubble, and he's got bubbles all over the place, and it takes a long time to get to the emotional moment. Kirkman, in a way, kind of cuts in the middleman, and he just skips right to that point. And in some ways, it's good, but I also, character-wise, it throws me off sometimes, because I'm reading it, and it's like, oh, okay, this character is acting logically, he's talking to somebody, and then all of a sudden, whoo, he shoots off the handle really quick. If I was a writer, which artist would you love to pair with? Before he passed, it would probably have been Darwin Cook. Right now, it'll probably be Chris Samney or Mike Mignola. Although I don't know why those guys would ever want to work with me, especially Mike Mignola. If you were a writer, which artist would you like to pair with? I already answered that. Do you believe that zombie stuff is getting overused? Because I do. I think a few years ago it was, but it seems like everybody's kind of toned down on the zombie stuff right now. I mean, the biggest thing is what? The Walking Dead. What I think is gonna happen, and this is me being speculation crazy guy, is that Walking Dead is, what are we on, season 7, season 6 at this point? I've lost track. Walking Dead is at a point where they introduced Negan, and that was a breath of fresh air. Negan will be definitely a breath of fresh air, because for me, the show was getting stale. It was getting really kind of boring, and it was getting repetitive. We'll see what they do with Negan. That ending of the last season, as much of a bullshit ending as it was, it definitely reinvigorated the show for a lot of fans, including myself, because I'm like, all right, cool, we've got Negan. Negan's a really cool protagonist, and this leads to all-out war. It leads to a lot of really cool, interesting stories. We'll see where it goes from here. But as zombies in general, they're kind of taking a backseat in pop culture right now. They're not as popular as they were, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago, where you had World War Z, you had Dying Light, you had video games about zombies, you had all these people just going crazy over zombies. But it seems like it's died down a little bit. The hype has gone down. And I'm really thankful for that in a lot of ways, because I was getting burned out on the whole zombie trip. Thoughts on Wade's Daredevil run? I already reviewed it. I reviewed it probably like 2 weeks. You can find it on my channel, man. But I loved it. I finished the last Scalp hardcover just before you did your unboxing. Mind blown. Ah, right? Right? How great is Scalp? How great is the ending of Scalp? I'm not going to ruin it here, but oh man, it is not, it's not an easy ending to swallow, because there are, like in life, there are really kind of no happy endings. Life just keeps going, and in some ways, a lot of things are very circular in how things end, because one thing replaces another. Things just keep happening on the reservation. Things just keep happening in life. That is life. Whether you're there or not, it just happens. And when you take out somebody, and it's a very important crime boss, or when somebody steps down and he's a very important crime boss, there's going to be a hole to fill, and somebody's going to take it. So good. Oh, absolutely so good. Any good werewolf comics? I am not a werewolf guy, so I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head any good werewolf comics. Trying to think. I haven't read a good werewolf comic, to be honest. And I think in a way, werewolves are some of the most underused characters in mainstream media and in comic culture. I'm thinking about it, and I got nothing. Have you read your Doctor Strange omnibus yet? If you have, how is it? I just ordered mine. I have not. I am planning. That's the one I'm going to make my way through right now. It's not a thick omnibus, So I'm making my way through it right now, and that review should be up. Ooh, man, probably in about a few weeks, because like I said, I have to front load a lot of stuff. And right now, between Patreon, between YouTube, between a full-time job and all that good stuff, it's hard, man. It is hard to find time to read, but I have to make time to read simply because of the fact that this is a review channel based on comics. So I have to read comics in order to put out content, right? And if I don't put out content, people stop watching my videos. And if people stop watching my videos and people stop Patreoning, I lose money. And I can't afford that right now. Best actual DC run. That is very hard to say. There are a lot of legendary and great DC comics. There are a lot of legendary and great DC runs. But off the top of my head, I'd probably say my favorite DC run of all time would probably be Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run. And I've said this before, Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run is so brilliant on so many levels. It's so grand and it's so intelligent and it's so out there that if you've never gotten a chance to read Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run, absolutely recommend you do check it out. It is legendary stuff for a reason. Awesome. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. Although a lot of it is hard to find, if I'm not mistaken. You can't find the hardcovers right now, but I think they republished everything in trade paperbacks, and I think those are still very, very readily available, if I'm not mistaken. Have I ever wanted to become a writer? I think everybody has. I think everybody at some point has thought, you know what, I've got a story to tell. I really want to write this down and I really want to put it out there. However, let me see. I've got a story to tell, however, I don't know how to go about doing it. Everybody's thought about that at one point or another. They've all thought, you know what, I can knock out a book, I can really become somebody if I'm a writer, but it's not easy. It takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, and the fact is, the first thing you're probably going to write is not going to be that great, and people get distracted, or they get, you know, they lose interest, or they don't have the passion for it as much as they think they do, because once they start writing, they start realizing, oh man, this is not easy. Writing isn't an easy job. Moonshine is a werewolf comic by the creators of... Gee, thanks. I didn't know that. That was kind of a spoiler, considering only the first issue is out, and I wanted to read that. And nobody... I don't think they even advertised that as a werewolf comic. I have a story to tell, but my writing sucks. Yeah, that's generally how a lot of people feel. But my best advice is... I'm going to give you some advice on writing. Obviously, I'm not a writer by trade or anything like that, but I do have friends that they are writers and they do write a lot of stuff, and they do work in magazines and they do work for websites and things like that. Hemingway said, the first thing you write is going... Oh, that was weird. Hey, yeah, sorry about that. It cut out for a second. Okay, back on subject. Hemingway said that everything you write is shit. The first thing that you write is always shit. It's never going to be good. It's never going to be great. It's going to be terrible. So with that said, what they recommend you do is that you write, just write, bang it out, just keep writing, and eventually come back to it and look over it. Don't worry about grammar correcting. Don't worry about sentence structure or anything like that. Just write it. Because the way your mind works is that your mind is the part where you grammar correct, the part where you correct everything and you scan everything and you look at it and review things is a different part of your brain versus the part that you write. So just write it out and get it off the top of your head and then go back and correct it and then check for grammar and things like that. Sorry about that, guys. That was weird. That was really weird. Yeah, I agree. I think that everybody does have at least one good story in them. I subscribe to the thought that, look, you can learn anything from anybody. Doesn't matter. You can learn something from a homeless man on the side of the road if you're willing to listen. Everybody's got a story to tell. However, if the story is interesting or if it's well put together, that is the key between a good writer and a bad writer. At least that's how I think. That's my interpretation of it. Like I said, I'm not a writer by trade. I just have friends that love writing and that do it to some sense in a professional fashion. How's the deluxe edition of the Fade Out? I have not been able to crack it open. I haven't been able to finish it yet. I haven't started it yet. I probably will start it today, more than likely. Ugh, where's the water jug? I don't have the water jug today. Any questions? Homeless card game tricks. Yeah, I would actually love to learn some card game tricks. Most overrated writer and artist in your opinion? What most overrated writer and artist? I've answered this like about 30,000 times, and I always say the same thing. It's Chris Ware. I don't find any of his work appealing. I don't think his work is that great. That's just my opinion. I think it's kind of at best. Without spoiling, could you give a Private Eye plot summary? I don't think I could. Okay, it's set sometime in the future, and Private Eye basically centers around a private detective. And in this future, there is no internet, and everybody's information and everybody's stuff has been leaked online. So everybody wears masks, everybody wears disguise, and things like that. Excuse me. Got a cough. And essentially what happens is that this starlet gets murdered, and then people have to go on it. This Private Eye goes on investigating on why she was murdered. And it leads to a giant conspiracy theory, and it leads to people bringing back the internet and all this other stuff. It's really good. It's a really, really good read. I think it's kind of one of his weaker works. I don't think it's as strong as some of his other stuff, as Brian K. Vaughan's written, like Why the Last Man, all these other different brilliant works that he's done, but it's still a really solid read that I do recommend. How hype are you for Doctor Strange in IMAX 3D? Oh, man, I've already bought my ticket. I have already bought my ticket, man. Yeah, I can't wait for Doctor Strange in 3D. It's going to be so, so good. Anybody else go to the 15-minute preview? I went. The 15-minute preview for Doctor Strange had me going, oh my gosh, like my brain was melting while sitting in the seat. It was so much fun. It was such a blast. I loved it. I love the little snippet that I got. And I almost wish I didn't see the 15-minute preview simply because I would like to go in cold and I would like to see it, just experience it all over again. You guys are in for such a treat based on that 15-minute bit. I can't wait for Suicide Squad extended cut. I am hyped. I can wait for it. Trust me. I don't want to see that movie again, even if it is an extended cut. But I'll probably do it just to give a review out. What's the best Vertigo series that most people don't know of? I answer the same thing almost every single time, and it's Unknown Soldier, but it's an Unknown Soldier that was written a few years ago. It's probably like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's set in Africa. Brilliant, brilliant series. After watching Supergirl Season 2, Episode 1, I have to say that Tyler Hoechlin, I think that's how you say it, makes a fantastic Clark Kent as Superman. Greg Berlanti gets the character much better than Zack Snyder does. You know, I have not seen the first episode of Supergirl. However, I have heard great things, and I've heard the same thing you said. Based on that, I am very curious to see it, simply because of the fact that we need a positive Superman. We need a Superman that people can look up to, not a sour, grimdark dude bro Superman that's probably going to be chugging Jaeger bombs and throwing people off of buildings and doesn't give a shit. We don't need that. We need, this day and age, with so much bullshit around us, with so much hate, with the election, with so many problems around the world, we need a Superman that people can actually look up to and in some ways aspire to. And the Zack Snyder Superman is definitely not that. What do you think of the analysts that say the Doctor Strange movie will not do much in the box office? I think for the most part that stuff is bullshit. Because realistically, how can you predict that? Analysts were saying the same thing about Guardians of the Galaxy before it came out. Remember that? Analysts were saying Guardians of the Galaxy, it's Marvel's riskiest adventures, it's the pre-sale tickets are doing okay, it's not doing that well, it's doing, decent numbers. But you have to remember that Doctor Strange is not a very well-known household name. Comic fans like myself, like you guys, we know Doctor Strange. We know that Doctor Strange is awesome, he's badass, he's being written by one of my personal favorite writers, C. Robert Cargill, and the movie is directed by one of my also personal new up-and-coming directors, one of my personal favorite ones, Scott Derrickson, who did Sinister and who's done a few good movies. So I'm hyped for it. I think this is going to be one of those things that it's going to come out. It's going to get traction as it goes along. And once reviews start coming out, people are going to go, oh, man, looks actually pretty interesting. This looks really good. I can't wait to go see it. It's definitely one of those wait and sees. And I think it's going to have legs. I do. I think the MCU, for the most part, is bomb-proof at this point simply because of the fact that they have built up a reputation for putting out great movies. Once you built up a reputation for putting out great content and great movies, people will stick with it. Would you recommend watching or reading The Watchmen first? I would recommend you read it. The ending of Watchmen the movie is definitely different than the end of Watchmen the book. However, Watchmen the movie in some ways loses a lot of the power and a lot of the triumphant in some ways it loses a lot of the oomph that the book has. I do recommend you read it. However, Watchmen the book is a read. It's a very chunky read, and it's going to take you a while to get through it. At least it took me a while because there's a lot of prose sections and things like that. Hey, hardcover, I just completed Grant Morrison's The Animal Man, and I really enjoy this writing. What Grant Morrison run should I read next? Grant Morrison has a lot of good stuff, but if you enjoyed Animal Man, I always recommend you read All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison. Brilliant and a perfect interpretation of what Superman should be. There we go again. We're talking about Superman and what Superman should be. Okay. Keep saying authentication issues. I'm sorry, guys. This is really, really being annoying today. But like I was saying, All-Star Superman gets Superman. He is what Superman should be, and he is the perfect interpretation of Superman in my eyes. But yeah, start with that, and then maybe read New X-Men. Those are kind of really great jumping on points and really great primers for Grant Morrison and getting inside of his mind. Good stuff. Really good stuff. You want the Spot as a villain. Yeah, it's a good idea. What do you think would be a villain in the next Spider-Man movie? I'm surprised they haven't done Kraven the Hunter. I think Kraven the Hunter would be badass, man. I would love to see them do. Imagine Kraven's Last Hunt, but put onto the screen. How awesome would that be? I mean, what are we getting? We're getting Shocker, we're getting Vulture, and I forgot what else that they've said is going to be in the next Spider-Man movie, but I'm good with just Shocker and Vulture. In fact, I kind of want to see the beginning of the movie is Peter Parker fighting Shocker. That's how the movie starts. He's just whipping Shocker's ass. Because he's Shocker. I mean, Shocker's kind of like a B-list villain. You know, he's not that great of a villain when you think about it. He's a quilt. Who was the first superhero you loved? Man, it's, you know what? It's got to be like almost every other kid. It was probably Superman. Come on, what kid at some point in your life you didn't grab a towel or like a sheet or a blanket in your mom's house and you put it around like your neck just to be like Superman? Oh, come on. It's got to be Superman. Have I been reading Paper Girls? I have not been reading Paper Girls. It's one of the few Brian K. Vaughan stories that I haven't, although I've heard it's really, really good. I've been reading Saga, and I haven't been, you know what, I'm not too much on Brian K. Vaughan train right now. Apart from Jeff Lemire's run, what is a good Green Arrow run? I would say, let's see, Kevin Smith had a really good run in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, early 2000s, and I always recommend people check that out. Really, really good stuff. A favorite portrayal of a superhero on screen? I would ask villain. But I think I wouldn't know your answer. My favorite portrayal of a superhero on screen thus far would probably be, and that's really hard. That's actually a really hard question for me. Because there have been so many superhero movies and there have been so many great interpretations of them. But off the top of my head, that's a good question. Let me think. I'm trying to think through the Marvel universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, simply because of the fact that, you know, it's DC's cinematic universe is kind of shit. I'm gonna say now, if we're talking about small screen, I would actually say that Charlie Cox on Daredevil absolutely nails the character. Charlie Cox's Daredevil absolutely nails it. But you know what? No, we're talking silver. I'm gonna say not movies, but TV. I'm gonna say the Punisher that was in season 2 of Daredevil absolutely knocked it out of the park. John Barenthal is the fucking Punisher. Oh my gosh, he was great. Harold, you seem like you're a very angry young man. You should probably chill out a little bit, man. Enjoy life. XTC classic right now for me. Grant Gustin as Barry Allen and Chris Evans as Cap. Ooh, wow, yeah, Chris Evans as Captain America. You know what? I take it back. No, Chris Evans as Cat as. So Google Plus is being a pain in the ass, guys. Thanks for sticking through this. Sorry about this. If you normally watch my live streams, you know this doesn't happen. So sorry. You know, connection issues. It's saying that I'm having authentication issues, which is I fucking hate Google Plus. But it's what YouTube uses, so it makes this job a lot easier. But yeah, like I was saying, Chris Evans as Captain America, I think, is probably the best choice that they've made so far. He really does embody that, and he absolutely gets the character, and he nails it. We'll see what happens. I think his contract is up, if I'm not mistaken, after Infinity War, so we'll see if he sticks around. Harold, you seem like you hate a lot of things, pal. Do you think that Netflix will ever do a show on DC Comics once the Marvel shows are done? No, no. I'm willing to bet they won't. I think Netflix has such a good relationship with Marvel that they probably don't want to taint that. So they probably won't go that route. I could see maybe DC. You know, DC is doing so well, though, with its Warner Brothers and with its WB. And, you know, the CW is going to have its own streaming service in the next few months. if I'm not mistaken, and a lot of that will be free, but it'll just have advertisements in it. So I think they're definitely going to start their own streaming service, like a lot of channels. I think honestly, the future of TV in general is that with everybody cutting the cord, with everybody shying away from paying, ridiculous Time Warner cable bills, that a lot of channels and a lot of people are going to just start developing their own streaming services. CW is doing it. They're going to have their own streaming service, and you can watch all their TV shows just on that. It's going to be free, and they're going to have advertisements on it. That, to me, is the future of where a lot of this stuff is going. I don't have cable. I do not have cable at all. What I do is that I wait for it to come out on Blu-ray, or I go about other means of watching my TV shows that I'm not going to get into here, or I just pay for HBO Now. I don't pay for cable. There's no point. I have the internet. Oh, TV is dead. Well, TV in the traditional sense is dead. TV as a whole is, we're in the greatest TV renaissance we've ever had. We've got TV shows like Game of Thrones, Westworld. TV right now is booming, but just not in the traditional sense. Let's see. Opinion on The Walking Dead upcoming season premiere. I am of the opinion. I mean, come on. They had to know. They had to know that it would get leaked who was gonna die. Simply because of the fact that there are a lot of fans out there that they will go on the set, they'll sneak on the set, or they'll take pictures really far. And for the most part, we already know who's gonna die. It's not a secret anymore. And in a lot of ways, it kind of takes away from the oomph of the season premiere of The Walking Dead. If you have been paying attention to a lot of social media websites and a lot of online websites, you know who's going to die, And I'm actually surprised that I still have people on my Facebook feed that are asking, well, who do you think Negan is going to kill at the season premiere of Walking Dead? I'm like, it's kind of out there. It doesn't take much it doesn't take much research to be able to tell, oh, this person is going to die. But I'm excited. I'm excited simply because of the fact that I want to see where they're going to take this season. I'm curious about where they're going to go, especially with Negan and what they're going to introduce and things like that. Negan is a really cool character, so I'm interested to see where it is. But if you want to know what it is, just go to Spoiling Dead Just go to the Spoiling Dead Facebook group, and you can pretty much figure it out because they've listed what characters appear in what episodes based upon like sightings and filming schedules and things like that. And there are two characters that have only been noted to appear on one episode this season. So do the math. Let's see. I love Thomas James Punisher all day. I didn't like Bernthal's jarhead haircut. Yeah. Lance Vance, you also seem to be a very angry young man, based upon like your comments and everything you've written in the comment section and through chats. Thomas Jane's Punisher was good. It was okay for what it was. Favorite new character from The Force Awakens between Rey, Finn, and Poe. Right now for me it's between Rey and Finn, but I love all three. I like Poe. We didn't get much of Poe, which I'm hoping to see in the next movie. So I really liked his character. Do you think the Sandman is overrated? Don't get me wrong, but I enjoy. No, in fact, I don't. I think the Sandman is one of the most brilliant comics. I think Sandman is one of the most brilliant comics that's ever been written. And maybe again, I'm assuming your age, and I'm assuming your age, and I'm assuming your comic experience. So I'm gonna guess that you're probably. Again, I really don't want to judge you. I really don't, but I'm assuming things right now. You're probably a young guy who, you don't have as much experience in comics, maybe. I'm assuming. And you haven't read maybe a lot of literature and a lot of classic literature, because if you do read that and you do have a lot of experience in those areas, and if you've read a lot of classic things, if you've read a lot of comics, you'll know that the Sandman really is just transcendent, and it really incorporates so many different things that it's actually a really beautiful magnum opus. And it's a story not only on the character of Dream, but it's a story on life. It's a story on characters. It's a story on literature. It's so grand in scale and so massive. It's a story on culture. I mean, there are so many different things in the Neil Gaiman incorporates into the Sandman that it's something that I personally have never read something like that before or since. and the ending of it is so beautifully poetic, and it's so beautifully tragic, and it's such a beautiful series overall. Do you think the Sandman is unadaptable for TV or film? TV maybe, film absolutely. Absolutely, I don't think the Sandman could be done in film. You just can't capture all of that in a 2-hour film. It's gotta be. It has to be on TV. Hi, Diego. What pop culture phenomenon can you not wait to show your future child? Congrats again, by the way. That's a good question. What pop culture phenomenon can I not wait? I'm gonna say the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In all, because I cannot wait to be able to when when they're old enough, when they can comprehend things, or when they're even like 2 years old. I think at that age they can start kind of picking things up, where I could sit down with them, with him or her, and we could watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe all the way through. We could watch Iron Man, we could watch Hulk, and we can get into Guardians of the Galaxy and all that other stuff. I can't wait for that moment, honestly. Oh my god, that's gonna be so great. Rumors on a Watchmen HBO series has, but they've been saying Watchmen HBO series for years. I mean, I think since the 90s, early 2000s, they've been saying that the Watchmen will come to HBO. So I won't believe it until it actually happens. Do you think the endless analyzing of released or leaked film materials, photos, footage, trailers, etc., ruins the actual viewing experience? To me, a lot of the magic just gets lost. It does. It really does. Which is part of the reason that I'm not. You've got other YouTube channels that they like for every single trailer that is dropped for Justice League or for Marvel or something like that. They watch it, they do a reaction of it, and that's fine. That's how they want to run things. I don't want to really spoil myself that way. And plus, you've got a lot of other people that they do it far better than I